When they decide to choose whether or not they're going to do a role, first decide whether or not they want their parents to see it. And if the answer is no, then I say, don't do it on stage. And then I said, decide if you want your kids to see it. If the answer is no, don't do it on film. And then if you decide whether or not you want God to see it. If the answer is no, don't do it.
Welcome back. Once again, we are here at the Faye. I am your host, Brandon Morgan, and I am here with our wonderful, wonderful guests, Mr. Jason Dirden and Mr. Willie Dirden. How y'all doing today?
Just great. Just great. Glad to be here.
Good. Glad to have y'all here, man. Glad to have y'all here on the Faye. We just like to sit down, talk about things, talk about a couple more things, then some more things, then talk about Fade to Black in 2025. That seemed pretty easy, right? Things
it's good
in
for me,
2025.
man, because sitting down is my favorite athletic endeavor.
I'm with you on that one. I like to sit down, but I ain't gonna talk about my dress when I like to sit down at home. But it's definitely a lot more relaxed, if you must say. So, so yeah, y'all just give me some intros, like if the people don't know you or may know you, or just let the people know who you are. I personally know, but I'll give you a chance to introduce your own selves as you may.
You want to go first? Or?
Man, you are
I came here first, yes.
Okay. Age before beauty.
Yeah. Well, my name is Willie Dirden, and I'm an actor and director and coach of young talent coming up. Been pursuing perfection in my craft for about 50 years now. Yeah. And I'm a native Houstonian. When I was born, my mother was living on Capron Street in Fifth Ward. And so I was born on Capron Street in Fifth Ward because I just wanted to be near her at the time, you know what I mean? So I spent all my life here. I've traveled, but there's no place I would rather be.
Amen to that. I'm a fellow north side of myself, a little further on the other side, though,
okay.
Acres Home area.
Well, that's where I actually grew up, in Acres Home, yes. Still live over in that area now.
Okay, that's what's up. Good old Acre Shakers, man. Acre Shakers.
The 44.
4-4 for sure. For sure. Hey, what about you, Jason?
Yeah, I'm Jason Dirden. I'm his son. And from Houston, born and raised. Went to Booker T. And I've been on TV, been on doing stage in New York or regionally for I guess the last almost 20 years now. Yeah, Greenleaf.
Oh, triumph, baby! Oh, what a blessing!
Get ready. The judgment's coming.
The Lord wants you to do this. I'm just a messenger.
There's something antique about this place. Airless. Like a tomb. Kings over queens. Basie Skanks is about to make a withdrawal out of the bank of heaven and set things right. I'm at a loss to see what's wrong. What you call that?
A losing hand.
Where's your Jesus now, brothers?
Is that the church's money you lost in that tonight?
Most definitely. I hand over the people of God to you, Pastor Jacob.
You said the judgment's coming. It is. It's coming for you.
American Soul, Raising Canaan. I was fortunate enough to perform 2 Broadway shows, Fences and Raising in the Sun, both with Denzel Washington. And just a lot of regional theater, but it all started in the house where I grew up. And this guy right here he said, oh, I think if you have an interest in it, let's treat it like you're a professional. And this is no lie. This is my introduction to professional acting was, hey, Dad, I'm doing this monologue. You want to see it? Okay. Get about 2 lines in, and I hear snoring. I said, hey, Dad, I'm working here. He's like, okay. I said, but you went to sleep. He said, yeah, because you weren't telling the truth.
Hey.
And then he went back and we started talking about the foundation and the principles of acting. But he was myself and my brother's first acting coach, real acting coach. And so, we here.
Yeah. How lucky are both of you, man?
Extremely lucky.
Extremely lucky. That got to be great. Yeah. So let's just start with Houston, as you said, on Caper Street, good old Fifth Ward, Texas. Just give me a background of all of your roots from Houston, like what life was like coming up to what got you to here now to 2024. I know that's a long wrap up between the both of you, but if you could just summarize it as fast as.
Well, I moved from the Fifth Ward to the Acres Home area when I was about 6 years old. I was reared by my great-grandmother, as a matter of fact, and she took me to the church right around the corner, Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, and there I got involved with the typical things you do in performing at church, the Easter, Christmas plays and pageants. And when I was doing that, I kind of developed the idea, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do it right because I like it. And from there on to high school, and then I actually went to University of Texas to become an electrical engineer and had a miserable 2.5 years there. Not that the education was miserable, but it wasn't my water for this fish. Yeah. So I came back to Houston, went to Texas Southern, and in the meantime went through 2 auditions and got roles in community theater, and still studied on the side as well. And from community theater began to do some regional theater, et cetera, and here we are today.
That's a good journey, Mr. Willie. That's a good journey. I hope to be on that journey soon. Hope to be on that journey soon. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, went to Booker T, and actually, funny story is that this is true too. I wasn't into acting early on. I was more into sports, football, basketball, baseball, anything with a ball, I was playing it. And then one year, I had football practice on Mondays, and that same year, I got home and caught the end of a brand new show on NBC called Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And if I kept playing football, I was gonna miss this show every Monday. So I had a decision to make. And so I stopped playing football. True story. And my mom, who was a teacher, and she was like, well, you got to do something after school. You can't just come home. You have to have some type of enriching curricular activity. And my brother, Brandon, was already into acting, and he was already doing it. I was going to the drama tournaments just as a spectator and just something to do on Saturday. So I said, let me pick up this poem and try to do it. And I was decent at it, decent enough at it to where I was like, okay, let me just play with this for a little while. And I caught the bug and went to Morehouse and got my undergrad degree in theater, and then went to University of Illinois and got my master's of fine arts in acting, and then from Illinois went straight to New York. Myself, my brother, and a good friend of mine, we all got a 2-3-bedroom apartment, moved to New York, and did the whole, we'll see if we can make it. And for the first 9 months, I didn't work as an actor. And that was actually the first time I ever experienced what real depression was like. Because in New York, in November, I moved in September, and in November, daylight savings hit. And in New York, it gets dark at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then it starts raining, and it gets cold. And some days, I wouldn't get out of bed until like 1, get something to eat, and then back in the bed at 4, because it's dark outside. And after about 3 weeks, it's like, wait, this is not normal. This is not right. And I had a day job. I was working at a theater, a box office manager and a house manager at a theater, so I was still in it. And still around actors and creatives and whatnot. And then, finally something lined up right that was for me, and I hit. And like I said, I've just been very fortunate to work a lot of regional theater, some Broadway, and then I moved out to LA, got a chance to do some TV and some film, and just kind of like going wherever they sign in a check. You know, as long as it matches up with my integrity, we'll do it. We'll do it.
If both of them go, it's a go.
Right.
Amen to that.
That's how we here today.
Well, coming from such a art-rich family, like what is that upbringing like? What is that child rearing like? We coming from such a rich art family, because Mr. Willie, I could personally say I've known you or known of you for a while, of course, through a lot of your colleagues from your alma mater, TSU, of course. I went to PV, but it's we bleed through and through sometimes.
Oh, HBCU, baby.
Yeah, amen for that, amen.
Yeah,
So yeah. What is that experience like?
Well, actually, in our house, we didn't think of it as focusing on being cultural or having a particular culture. We just did the things that we liked. And my wife, his mom, was a singer, and I love listening to music. Shout out to Ray Charles. And so they grew up hearing a lot of music. And at the time, I was interested in theater and doing a lot of theaters. At one time, man, I'd be performing one show and rehearsing 2 others at the same time. And we weren't rich enough to have babysitters come in, so when I was performing, they would drug along to see the shows,
Let me tell you, I saw a lot of shows that were not appropriate for me to be seeing at a certain age.
It just puts you in a better spot for later, man.
And reading was required at our house. Reading. I mean, we had we still are adding to our library at the house. We have tons of books, and so reading was nothing for them. It was no problem for them to see us read and then just pick up the habit. So if you talk about culture, no, it was just life. It was just living.
I agree with that. I agree. Reading is so. I moonlight as an English teacher on some days. Don't worry about your kids; they fine. But they always ask me like, "Oh man, you're an actor. Like it's so great." And I tell them straight up, like, reading is step one. Like
that's right.
It is the only way to advance in this profession. If you are not a proficient reader, it is going to be an uphill battle, like from the start. So yeah, I preach that so much. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because reading, my mom was real big on me for reading. I didn't know what it was for or what I use it for later, but it was definitely like the highlight of every day, like reading something.
You read and you get the message, and with all thy getting, get an understanding.
Amen.
Because if you read and understand what the writer is trying to say through the character, then it becomes much more pleasant and easier to do that role.
Halfway there. The next first step, just the memorizing part. Once you get that, first step. What about you, Jason? What was life like? I understand. I'm sure it was just a normal life, but from the outside looking in, because I'm like the only artist in my family, you know what I mean? So, just looking at how the upbringing could be, like you can lean on your dad for certain things.
Right.
Like you said, you picked up a monologue and you was like, "Hey, Dad, listen to this for me."
For sure. It's a couple of things, but as a child, you don't really realize what's happening until you're an adult and say, "Oh, wow." So just being around, like you said, my mom was actually directing shows in elementary school. Like, she's always been part of this medium as well. And if my dad was in a show, we'd go see it. So as an adult, I realized that what that was doing, the insistence and the encouragement toward the arts and creativity, what that was doing was taking me out of my neighborhood. Now, and I don't just mean physically, I just mean mentally as well. You go see these plays, you go see these shows, and you learn different perspectives on life, different points of view, and you meet different people who are not like the people that you're surrounded by 24 hours a day. And I can't tell you what that does to you mentally as you grow up. You have a different level of empathy and sympathy towards individuals, towards humanity, because you come in contact with so many different people that you welcome newness.
Exactly.
You welcome
Amen.
difference.
Amen.
As opposed to be opposed to it constantly. And the second thing was that I tell this all the time too when I talk to students and parents are there, and unfortunately, and it's still this way. It's not this way as much as it used to be, but in our culture, the arts are not something that are looked upon as a career that you should go after if you're a child. You know what I mean? It's like, you're gonna be a star in the arts, you're not gonna make it. And then when you make it, they say, oh, I knew you always gonna make it. But that's, right. But understanding that, I tell parents this all the time, never underestimate the power of encouragement.
Yeah.
So that same token, never underestimate the power of discouragement. That's even more powerful. Understanding that if you discourage your child from chasing what it is that's inside of them, whether it be artistic, whether it be something, whatever, if you discourage that, then you don't know what kind of trauma that's creating in that child to where they cannot become their full selves and they cannot be a productive member of society and possibly change the world or possibly change someone else's life. But specifically talking about the arts, you know what I mean? Everybody's not going to be a superstar. Everybody's not going to be a celebrity. That's not why you enter it. You enter it because you love it and you feel like you understand this power in telling stories and being able to affect people's lives and just seeing the world differently and creating a better place for humanity. And if you discourage that, that's one person less that has the opportunity to do that, to change somebody's life. And there's a power in artistry and creativity. So the encouragement that we had in our household was absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Man, that's so dope. I tell that a lot. Like, my mother, she is my number one supporter. I must say, like, she at every show, maybe 40, 50 people at a time. Yeah. But then, she'll call me during the week and be like, hey, these people over here hiring, just if you wanted to know, like, they hiring. I don't know where you at right now, but you could go over there if you like, so. But, like, she is not a discourager. Like, she may not fully encourage or push for it, but she's supportive. You know what I mean? I think that does make all the difference. Well, that's good. Let's get into more of like the history and the resumes of our work that we have all done together. Mr. Willie, would you like to give us like a short list maybe, or can I just like choose something and we just talk about what the project was like?
You probably ought to just choose something.
Well, definitely want to talk about Two Trains Running. We are in the August Wilson era right now. You know what I mean? So
that was a great experience. Did that at the Ensemble Theater.
Yes, sir.
And we had guys like Clarence Whitmore, Wayne D. Hart,
the legend
Timothy
himself.
Eric,
still the legend.
And that was a joy. Every night when I walked on stage, I walked into a complete reality, because that's what these people helped to create. The minute we started having some dialogue, I was no longer talking to Timothy. I was talking to the character Timothy was putting in front of me. And same with Wayne and the others. That was a joy. And I love doing August Wilson. August Wilson's a great storyteller.
And the best.
You get a chance, if you do any of his characters, to tell a story of somebody's life, or somebody's experience, okay? And Jason mentioned a while ago, he got involved or had the opportunity to be around people of different walks of life, et cetera, from different backgrounds. Well, if you get that chance, then it's easier to understand how to accept the way a character thinks, and much easier to perform that character. I tell my students all the time, get in touch with the character's mode of thought. Then the lines will become easier, and the words will become more exact as they were written, because those are the words the character chose to use, and so when you're telling a story, you tell it from that character's point of view, and August Wilson was very, very good at writing from that perspective. I did Jitney.
Okay,
Same thing.
Jitney, yeah.
Jitney with my son Jason here.
Okay,
I happened to be
cool.
on stage. Another August Wilson play. Yeah, and the first August Wilson show I did was Ma Rainey, also with the ensemble. Loved that show. Yeah, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah. Moderator's Black Bottom, man. I played Sylvester one time.
Oh, yeah?
Back in the day.
Yeah, how was your stutter?
Yeah, I had the motor stuck, right? Like the motor.
I hated it every time that Sylvester would do that because I played cut and Levy would say, "All right, cut, go on, let me see how you can fix that."
Yeah, man, my rating is a fun show, man. As I think about all August Wilson, like, I don't know, it's just something transcendent about those plays, man. And like, you know, any chance you get a chance to like do one, I don't think you should like really turn it down.
Right, and you learn something about not only the characters, but about yourself.
Yeah.
When you're looking at what other characters are going through and how they perceive the world, rightly or wrongly.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, Jason, what about you? So I'm gonna just ask just because I feel led to. I mean, you will be performing in the piano lesson coming up at the ensemble. Will y'all open January
26th.
Okay.
Yeah, January 26th.
Through what day?
Through February 25th.
Okay, January 26th.
January 26th to February 25th, Thursday through Sunday.
Gotcha. So can you just give me a little insight about that experience? How's it going? I do have some information that you previously played Lyman at the Signature Theater, right?
I did in New York. Yeah. I was in 2012.
Okay.
And my brother played Boy Willie.
Exactly. Correct.
Great experience, great process. But as you know, no matter how many times you do a show, it's a different experience because you got a different ensemble, you got a different director, and you know something else about life and about the world, and now that also leaves room for you to try to find deeper truths that are parallel with the way the way you see it now and what you're open to as far as humanity and all that stuff. But this experience, man, it's just, well, first of all, it's my first time performing professionally in Houston in over 20 years. I understudied a show in 2002. Summer of 2002. So this is the first at the ensemble, but this is the first time where I'm actually in a full production at the ensemble, coming home to do it. My dad is in the room. He's assistant director on it, and just so many family and friends who see you on TV. They say, "Well, when you gonna come home and do something?" And this was the perfect opportunity to do it. And it's just been a wonderful experience. Arlene Morris has just been a great visionary and a great leader.
I love to work with her.
Man.
Has created
mama.
Yeah. Has created just a wonderful environment, and she has such an affinity and a close relationship with August
Wilson
and the text with him personally, and also the text, whether it be piano lesson or just understanding the intention behind the whole canon of August Wilson, and so that leadership has been incredible. And then the ensemble that she put together is just absolutely wonderful.
Fire, y'all. Fire.
Absolutely wonderful.
If you want to see a show in Houston, go see the piano lesson.
Come see it.
I guarantee you. I guarantee.
No, we having some fun up there, so don't miss it.
I bet.
Because once it's over, it's over. Yeah. Don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Yep. A blip on the screen after that. That's the work. That's one thing I do not enjoy the most about theater. Like you know it must end, but sometimes you really don't want it to end because you don't want it to go on and end up being like 230 shows. It must end. But
it depends. It depends on what their check is. On
Broadway,
in the commercial theater, you want to do 230 shows.
We want an extension. That's fair. But they must end. End. So can you give me a little what is it like working together, Willie? Like how is it directing Jason in a setting as opposed to at home, or is it really much the same way?
Jason, stop up. Yes, it's a pleasure. I told him to stop up his ears because I don't want him to get the big head thing. He can't listen to me anymore. But no, it's a real pleasure to work with my boys because they have become such serious practitioners of the craft. You know, and being a serious practitioner means also listening and continuously learning. A perpetual learner. What I have to do in this instance is simply give Jason a suggestion for an alternative option a different option, and let him play it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, he adopts it. And that's the way all actors and director relationships should be. Now, we tell them to go and do what is instinctively what's in your head right now from what you know about the character. And then we put nuances on that. You know, and Eileen is great at that. She's the lead one, and then I come in and chime with something that may add to it. It's kind of like when you're doing improv. You're given something and then you add to it, and it's never yeah but. It's always yes and. And that's what we're doing here. The actor-director relationship between Jason and myself, with the rest of the cast and Eileen and myself is always a yes and.
I like that.
You know,
and
I like
so
that. It's a building and it's more than a symbiotic relationship, because we're not feeding off each other in a negative sense. We're feeding off each other in a very positive sense, because we all grow from that. And the benefit is for the audience that comes to see the finished product. Oh man, I'll tell you that we had first previews this past Saturday and Sunday, and man, I'm sitting in the audience because as an assistant director or director, you're supposed to continue to take notes during preview showing. And I find myself
getting too good.
Just watching the show.
Getting too good. Yeah, I know it. I know it. Look, I'm excited, y'all. I'll be there in a couple of days myself with my front row seat like ready. Because I mean, and let's be real, like in the culture of black artistry and black theater, like the piano lesson, you know, is like one of those symphony plays. Like it's the one you love the most. It's the one that's, you know, a lot more notable than the others, you know, like outside of Fences, of course. But
for sure.
Personally, it's one of my favorites. Outside.
And this piano lesson and this production allows for there to be a great sound and visual experience, given the technical aspects that have been brought to play on this by the designers, the sound designers, the light designers. It's a marvelous experience. You know, Houston don't miss it.
Man, you heard it. Houston don't miss it. Jason shouldn't have to tell you nothing. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Well, y'all, this is the point of our show where we like to do a thing called Fade It Forward, right? So if there's any like nugget of advice or any kind of tidbit of information that you would just like to give out to the people for free of charge, you know, don't give them something that you might charge them for, you know, keep that close to your pocket. But anything, you know, willing to give out for free, whether it be something critical or like a critique, anything at all, just, you know, you are free to give that to the people for the up and coming artists in the world that aspire to go a certain way, like any of us may have went. So yeah, if y'all just look right into your camera and just, you know, you just give it away at will.
Well, speaking to the artists who are up and coming, one of the first dilemmas you run into for yourselves personally will be whether or not to accept a particular role and do that role. And I've told my kids to begin with, and every student that has come to me for advice, that when they decide to choose whether or not they're going to do a role, first decide whether or not they want their parents to see it. And if the answer is no, then I say, don't do it on stage. And then I said, decide if you want your kids to see it. If the answer is no, don't do it on film. And then if you decide whether or not you want God to see it. If the answer is no, don't do it.
Hey, That's church right there, Mr. Willie. That's church.
And he's been saying that for like the last 25
Man, that's
years.
church right there. I need to adopt that because my only, I was like, let me just read it. Like, all right, like, if you give it to me, let me read it and let me see what's going to happen first or see what I have to actually say out of my mouth and give out, and then I can go from there. But that's fair. That's fair. Because, you know, I do some shows, my mom be like, I don't know if I want to see that brand. So, you know, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Jason, any little fading forward?
I think the one thing that I would say is just always make it about the work. You know, often we have dreams of getting to a certain level of celebrity or work or doing film or doing whatever it is. And the truth is, you have no control over whether or not you're going to get those opportunities. But the thing you do have control over is the work that you do. And you don't have control over if someone's going to like it or if someone's going to give you a job based on it. You don't even have control. You know, you hear all the time, well, it's about relationships. It's about who knows you. Yes, but the other part of that is how do they know you? They may know you, but if they don't know your work, if they don't like your work because you're not making it about the work, you're making it about trying to forge a relationship, well, they're not going to work with you. Because at the end of the day, they need your work. They need your output. So as long as you make it about the work, you get a better chance of those dreams actually happening, getting those opportunities in film and television or just on a larger stage, whatever. As long as you make it about the work, because that's what you can control. You can't control anything else.
Amen, man. Thank y'all very, very much. I appreciate both of y'all coming
Been a
out.
pleasure seeing you and talking with you, man.
You know, I ain't talked to you since the last time I seen you.
Yeah, and last time I saw you was your work on stage.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew. And you did a fabulous job there. I gotta tell you,
man. I'm out here trying. Look, as long as they keep hiring me, I'm gonna keep doing it.
You doing it. Yeah, you doing it.
They hire me, I'm gonna do it. It's just that simple. So yeah. Well, thank y'all again. Thank y'all very, very much for stopping in to the Fade. Everything Fade to Black 2025. Once again, I'm your host, Brandon Morgan. I've sat with Jason Dirden and Mr. Willie Dirden. So thank y'all. We will catch y'all later. Corey, we done?